Good afternoon, Santa fans. I'm Sergeant Charles Perkins with the Malisham Fire Protection District. I'm coming to you tonight to bring you just hopefully a little informational video. Department bought me this nice camera equipment. We're going to try to do a bunch of PR stuff over the next year, try to get some videos out about different content, and hopefully just, give you an idea of what we do for you and how we can do better for you, kind of thing. So if you see these videos we put out, do us a favor, below it hit the like button so we know that you like the content we're putting out. There's a subscribe button, click on that so we know we're not just talking to ourselves when we do these, and then hit the bell button. There's a bell little symbol down there. If you click on that, whenever we post a new video, you'll get a notification that we posted. But one of the important things you can do besides those is go into the comments and give me a comment about what you think of the video, what you want us to talk about in the future, what interests you about the fire service. Alright, so on to the night's video. Tonight I want to talk about the Santa truck. I want to give you kind of some behind the scenes, and hopefully when I get done I can do another video that edit to this and actually maybe show you the Santa truck, give you some behind the scenes on it. So when I post the routes, I try to put as much information out there as I can. I try to answer your questions, hopefully before you even have a chance to ask those questions. That's my goal when I put out the route. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people just skip ahead and just look for the road on the route and don't really read it. So I know I'm going to get 1,000 questions. I get the same questions a lot. I know I'm going to. I knew before I started the season I was going to. I'm ready for it. So I'm not upset when I see the same question 20 times a night. It's part of what I do. So just to give you some of the numbers on Mount Washington and the Santa page, we cover 42 square miles. We have Jefferson County border on the northern end, Spencer County on our east, but we do go back Kings Church and part of Dells Lane into Spencer County. On the south we have Salt River, but we also go down Bardstown Road to Deerwood. We annexed Deerwood out a few years ago, so we do go way down there to Deerwood. And I apologize, Deerwood, you're not on the list. I'm sorry. It's a long way to get Santa down there to you. On the western side, we butt up against Shepherdsville city limits. If you're familiar with that area, there's a road there named Halls Lane. It's near the giraffe. That big giraffe stands out by the vet's office. It's just past it. Halls Lane on the right hand side. It goes all the way back to another road named Cheryl Neal. I'll probably butcher that. But those houses back all the way up to 65. So we've got a pretty good area to cover. We cover a pretty good district, and for the most part it's doable. We can get through most of it. The first year we did this, Chief wanted me to put Santa in front of as many houses as possible, and we tried that, but there were so many roads and so much district to go through that it was pretty daunting, and I was really not sure we were going to make it. So obviously over the years we've had to cut it back down because it was just way too much. Yes, we cover 42 square miles, but that's at 15 miles an hour. It takes a while. On average, I think right now we're running at about 14 nights is what it would take to get through the Santa routes. If we cut off early or we have a slow night or something, it may take us 16, 18 nights. It just depends on how the season falls. I looked right on here and we are on page 16 of the route. The route is 42 pages long. I know it's ironic, 42 square mile district and 42 page Santa route, but that's oddly enough how it fell. But we are on page 16 right now when we were in Helmwood. So we're going to pick back up with I think it's Scenic View Court and Helmwood Circle. Then we'll go back through Wildwoods and so forth. Hopefully it's tomorrow night, Friday, if rain lets us. But we try to pick up where we left off, speaking of that. I try to get it as close to picking right back up and just keep moving through the routes. And hopefully we can get through this season where I don't have to cut any streets. But if we get more rain dates coming up, then I may have to actually start cutting out some of the smaller streets, smaller courts. And the more rainouts we get, the smaller I've got to make the list, because I can't sacrifice the far side of the district just to detail the middle of the district, and I apologize for that, but I have to make the call at some point to say that we're just going to hit main streets in the neighborhoods and then get as much of the district covered as opposed to trying to detail it out. So I'm rambling. But we sorry, hold on. If we started at Light Up Mount Washington this year, which is what we usually try to do, start with Light Up Mount Washington and go from there, it would have gave us 19 nights, and that would have been, so if we made it in 14 runs on 19 nights, that would only give us 5 nights to chance being off. Starting as we did almost a week before, it gave us more like 24, 25 nights. So it gave us more of a buffer. That's why we started before Light Up Mount Washington this year. So I did change a few things on it this year, just to try to get as much in as we could. We try not to cancel. Obviously, rain is going to cancel because we have rental equipment on top of the fire truck, and we don't want to ruin the rental equipment. So if it threatens to rain, we got to put Santa up. Plus, Santa doesn't like being in the rain either. So I think he's more worried about the rental equipment than he is himself. But I think he doesn't like getting wet. It's pretty cold and pretty wet up there. So we try to pay attention to that. So we don't want to make them sick, and we don't want to hurt them. This year we did take off for Light Up Mount Washington. We did take off one night to support the Bullities Chargers, which they made state. Go guys. We also took a night off for holiday dinner, our banquet that we do every year. But because we looked at the forecast ahead and saw that there was a lot of rain coming, we went ahead and hurried up the banquet and got everything cleaned up and jumped on the truck and took off out the door. That's why we were out Sunday night, trying to just to make up one more night that we actually didn't plan on getting out and doing. But that's why we slid out and got out early, or got out that night. So the only other thing that really stops us is our staff. We have a volunteer staff that helps with the Santa truck. Nobody's paid to be here to do it. Nobody's required to do it. It's all on them to be here to do it. And we got a great volunteer staff that likes to help out. The problem we have is it's Christmas time. Everybody has a family get together. They have a company picnic. Company Christmas party. They have family stuff. Same thing you have going. Their kids have recitals. Their churches have events. They're doing the same things you're doing, but they're trying to come up here every night, and they have to be here by around 4:30 for most of them to get ready for it, and then they know they're not going to be done until 9, and then they got to get dinner, get home, and get their kids and get them to bed. So it's a lot to ask on some of these people. So they're going out of their way to make this happen, and there's a lot of them that are here every night. They don't skip a beat, and there are some that are here most nights. They'll miss one or two here and there, and they have a commitment that they really want to see this through, and you got to commend them for that. That's great. See, but when they take a night off, we can't really hold them against it. I'm actually taking off Saturday night because I'm going out of town with my family to see my in-laws. We're going to do our New and More Christmas stuff for them. So I won't be available Saturday night, but I've worked with somebody else, another firefighter, and he's going to pick up my slack, and he's going to take care of my work that I won't be doing on Saturday. So y'all be nice to him, please. I mean, I can't even do it again. So this week coming up, let me speed that real quick. We will be out tomorrow. Friday night looks pretty good. Saturday night, it's still iffy, but hopefully we'll get out. Next week ahead, looks like there's another line of rain coming through, and then there's another line the week after. So that's coming through. So there's a couple pretty good chances we're going to cancel a few more nights, but hopefully they all fall apart and we'll be able to get out and do this. I wanted you to know I don't cut courts just to cut them. So I look at courts now as if they have 6 houses on one side of the court, from the main street to the cul-de-sac. If they have 6 houses, they make the list. I kind of look at it sometimes. I do if they have 12 on the whole street. That's kind of the 2 numbers I go to, 6 and 12. So if they have that many, then it's long enough for me to go down and try to do. In the future, we may have to change that number. It's all dependent on how the growth of the community is, because it's growing daily, and we're gonna have new streets every year, and every year I have to try to figure out how to cover this in the time frame that I get, because we want to be done about a week before Christmas starts. We got a few days off to see our families and do our Christmas stuff and try to enjoy the season. But there's a lot of streets that we just can't go down. There's low power lines, there's low tree limbs. Santa has had to fight tree limbs on the Santa route. There's been trees that have won against Santa on the Santa route. So we try to watch for that, but if there's a lot of low lines and a lot of low trees, then it's dangerous for them to be up there, because we do have real people on top of those fire trucks, and they're exposed to the elements, they're exposed to everything. And if you know anything about power companies, or the utilities, our Santa truck tops out at right about 12.5 feet. Well, that top out point is almost about mid-chest of Santa. So everything from about his neck up is above the minimum requirement for utility lines to be off the street. That's about 13 feet. So Santa's face is right there where we expect power lines, the lowest power lines, to be hanging. And we've got it as short as we can get it. We can't make the fire truck any shorter, but we have to be careful, because we have to watch for those low lines, because we don't want to hurt Santa. But just to give you some of the behind the scenes stuff on it, so we have Santa and Mrs. Claus that stand in the back of the fire truck on the sled in the back. Well, we put lights around them to try to light them up on all sides so that the kids can see them. And I know I've been asked before about putting more lights on them. One of the problems we have with more lights is they already have so much light on them, they can't see what's coming at them. So if there's a power line or a tree coming, they can't really see it. And they're usually looking out the side trying to wave at the kids. So they're not paying attention to what's coming at them, which is why there's usually a few of our elves in front of them. They stand up in front and they're forward of the lights, and they are waving and being jolly just as well, but they're also watching for those obstructions coming. And if they say duck, Santa hits the ground. So there's times where that has to happen. So as far as the procession that we do, when you see us come through, the very front vehicle that comes through, it's usually a pickup truck. Most of the time it's the assistant chief Cravens. He's usually driving it here lately, and usually I'm in the front right seat, and I'm staring at my computer and my phone and whatever else I've got in front of me, trying to look at the Santa route, Facebook, and Google Maps, and answering instant messages and text messages, and so it's yeah. Regardless, that's what I'm sitting there doing. The Santa truck is really following us. We're doing the route. Santa fire truck is following us. That driver's kind of paying attention, making sure that kids aren't going to run out, because there's a lot of kids running when they see Santa. They come out the doors, they run. I said, kids, there's parents that run out of the house to get down the street to see Santa. They'll run right over the kids sometimes, but they will run out to the street and slam on the brakes right at the edge of the road. So the drivers have to be very careful and watching around them at all times to make sure that they're paying attention to these kids. Because the last thing we do is hurt a kid. So they're trying to pay attention. They're watching where we're going, and that's their big chores, just trying to maintain the speed and safety. The chase vehicle, we try to put one behind us. That vehicle is usually a buffer behind Santa. Our fear there is that somebody's going to get right on the back of Santa in their vehicles, following us, because we always have a few follow vehicles throughout the night. But they're going to get behind us, and then they're going to be looking up trying to see Santa, and they're not going to realize that the truck slowed down or stopped, and they're going to run in the back of it, and then people are going to fall off. So again, a safety issue. That's why we usually try to put something behind us to buffer between our chase people, our public chase people. Some of the questions we get about why we have fire trucks sometimes driving instead of pickup trucks. Why not run a pickup truck behind the Santa truck instead of we'll have a fire truck, or maybe even two fire trucks back there. Usually, if it's possible, it's a pickup truck. But if you see a fire truck back there, it's probably because the driver may need hours. Our drivers are required to log so many hours in the truck driving non-emergency before they can ever turn the lights on. So they have to pump the truck, they have to drive the truck. I think it's at 10 hours right now that they have to spend driving for the insurance requirements. So what better time to do this than during Santa? They can do this all year, so you'll see us drive around all year, and that's probably what we're doing. We're probably out just giving somebody drive time. It's just like you do on your permit. A licensed driver sits in the front right seat, and the person learning to drive sits in the driver's seat and go. And sometimes we're doing routes just to give them somewhere to go. But what better way to do it than during the Santa route? It helps us out by having a chase vehicle. It gives one more effect to the Santa route. They learn more of our district because they're going in and out of these courts and roads, and they're learning where some of the stuff is, because they're volunteers too. They don't get out in the district every day. They may have never gone in some of the neighborhoods that we go into. So it's a win-win for everybody. We're going to do it anyways. We have to by requirements. So why not use them for the Santa stuff? So I know people don't like hearing that we just go out and drive these trucks, but sometimes we have to, especially with an older fleet. You need to get them out and exercise them, and so we do. We get them out and we try to exercise them. We do have a lot of growth coming, so some of these newer neighborhoods, I try to get into them when we start seeing that they're getting occupied, like Bluegrass Manor, the Sot Farm neighborhood. I'm going to get in there, and the front part, there's two courts or two circles. I'm going to try to get in there and do them this year when we go through. But I know the main road going back, it's had a lot of construction vehicles on it and a lot of dumpsters. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But it was fairly obstructed, so when it comes to those neighborhoods, I'm going to look at those neighborhoods as we get closer to it to kind of see how the roads look. If they look good, we'll go down them. But if it doesn't look good, then we may have to cut. just something we do. There was one court last night that was on my list. I was going to go down this court. When we pulled up to the court, there were 2 cars sitting in the middle of the road, and the kids were all lined up on the end of the road. So we didn't go down the court, which I assume, well, I guess the entire court came out to us, even though they were on the list. Sometimes I do that, and then I get a message later that says, hey, you were supposed to come down our court. Well, I'm sorry, but that happens. There's always little things. I've missed roads before. There's several roads that I was supposed to go down and just missed them. So, I'm looking at these devices and I just overlooked it, or I forgot to say turn left and I said turn right, and sometimes dyslexia kicks in. It's like, nah, I meant the other way. So I'll try to get, maybe add on the end of this video, I'll try to get some of the stuff. I'm on shift tomorrow, so maybe I'll grab a quick video of the Santa truck and show some of the stuff in the back of it. I might put it over top this video where we were talking about it. But I'll try to maybe do another one here and there to keep you guys informed. But again, if you want to hear more about this stuff, just please drop comments in the bottom and below. But most importantly, hit the like button and subscribe, and just let us know what you think. So I'll stop rambling, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. So good night, Santa fans.